I started using Ferguson, and I put BA in front of it because I figured, I've got to have my name in there.
Along one wall of Frets and Necks, which is located in downtown Hartsville, South Carolina, are some of the Ferguson guitars that tell the story of the business.
This is the Texas Triple, is what we call this one. And it's just kind of something that paying tribute to my home state, I guess.
Boot Arreola is the owner of the shop and the designer and maker of Ferguson guitars.
Every guitar we've made has been made from stuff that hasn't been cut down.
For much of the past decade, Boot and his crew have repaired instruments and made guitars in this location. It's the culmination of a journey that for Boot began when he was in his early teens in his hometown of El Paso, Texas.
Someone had lent me a guitar. A friend of mine broke it, and as such, because it was my pastor's guitar, I told him I would take care of it, I would fix it.
That was just the start, and things didn't get serious for Boot until several years later when he landed an unpaid apprenticeship with a well-respected guitar maker.
At that point in time, I had a terrible job history, and it was the only job that I ever stuck with that didn't actually pay me anything because I was learning. But the only job that I would actually show up early for and leave late from.
Boot learned the craft and came to South Carolina. He found others to help him build his business. They compete today in a field where more and more people are focused on making guitars.
There's a lot of mom and pop luthiers that are doing some incredible stuff.
The work is very exacting and cannot be rushed. There are several key steps to creating quality guitars, and none of them happen quickly.
The main thing is it's got to be very dry wood. The other thing is your joints have to be the least amount of air possible that you can have between your joints. The thing that we're constantly honing is attention to detail.
One example is that what Boot defines as dry wood far exceeds any layman's definition of that term.
You've got to have an incredible amount of patience, basically, because you can get any piece of wood, let it dry for a couple of months, and it's stable enough to work with then, but in the long run, what's it going to produce,
For Boot and his crew, plenty of experience repairing instruments made by others goes a long way towards instilling a quality in Ferguson guitars.
What am I always fixing on current guitars that you shouldn't have to fix on a guitar that I make?
The guys here make both electric and acoustic guitars. Boot says electric ones are much easier. The challenge with acoustic ones is creating the desired sound while making certain the instrument is durable.
You have to play with the structural integrity so much in order to get the sound that you can compromise one or the other and have a great sounding guitar that'll fall apart later on, Or you can have something that's so sturdy it doesn't sound good.
The cruel part about making an acoustic guitar, too, is that it has to be essentially finished before knowing how good it sounds.
Even though our focus is the sound, we don't really have a way of telling until the thing is completely done and strung up.
Luckily for Boot, when the strings are added to his guitars, he has generally hit the mark.
More and more as we go on, we're getting a lot of compliments about how much sustain they have, which is great.
There is one area in which Ferguson guitars are different than many others. That's in the materials used to build the instruments.
We're trying to make sure that everything we get is American made.
Plenty of luthiers, though, try to get as many of their parts as possible from American sources. The difference for Boot is in where he gets the actual wood.
Most of the time, 90% of our guitar is made out of a tree that fell down, that we went and scavenged ourselves.
In that way, Boot is similar to luthiers from years ago who used whatever wood grew near them. Boot, though, has also, on occasion, repurposed wood from an old piano and discarded furniture.
It was a matter of being resourceful, but at the same time, being conscientious, I guess, of what's out there in the world.
While Boot and his crew have made Ferguson guitars for a while now, in many ways the business is still quite young. When beginning with something like this, the goal is to get the instruments out there and build a reputation.
If you want to be known, then it's an investment. At the very beginning, we had to just be confident that we were doing something good, even though we weren't making anything off of it.
It's a bit better now, as Boot's electric guitars start at more than $2,400, while acoustic guitars begin at around $2,600 and go up.
Now we're able to sell our guitars for and actually make something off the work we put into them.
Making money is part of the plan for Ferguson guitars, but there's more to it than that. Ultimately, Boot wants it to mean something to players when they hear or play one of the instruments.
I hope that we're doing something different, and it's noticeable.